Hi, I'm recording this on middle of the day Sunday in the US after Iran launched a large number of drones and rockets against Israel, which seem to have been almost entirely shot down. And I think when one looks at this situation we're in, the possibility of an Iran-Israel war, not a proxy war, but actually a real direct war, we can see the Biden administration having done some really valuable things in the last 24, 48 hours. But I think we can also see that the decisions they made over the past 6 months actually put them in this very difficult situation that they're now trying to get out of. So I give the Biden administration credit for helping to shoot down this large-scale Iranian attack. Thank goodness, very, very few Israelis were killed. No one would want that, least of all me. And also, in addition to the importance of just saving Israeli life, by shooting down these rockets, it also makes it easier for Israel not to respond. And the reports that the Biden administration has been pushing Israel not to respond, to say, basically, you got away with this very audacious attack in Damascus on the Iranian embassy. Now you've basically gotten away fairly unscathed because you shot down these Iranian rockets. Leave it there. You're lucky the way it's turned out. So I give the Biden administration credit for that. There are lunatics like John Bolton, and even, I'll say it, lunatics like Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman, who've basically been going around saying that the United States should support some Israeli response now in retaliation to the Iranian one. The Biden administration deserves credit for not taking that view. But if you want to understand how we got to this very dangerous place in the first place, then I think the Biden administration deserves some real criticism. Muan Rabbani wrote yesterday, quote, "We are where we are because it never occurred to Biden to say don't to Israel." And that's exactly right. That's true for Iran as it's true for Gaza. And to understand why, it's important to kind of rehearse the history of events here. Israel has been for quite a long time attacking military supplies that come from Iran through Syria into Lebanon to Hezbollah because they don't want Hezbollah to have a more potent military arsenal that could threaten Israel. But since October 7th, Israel has become much more reckless. You know, Benjamin Netanyahu actually has the reputation for not being militarily reckless, but what Israel has done vis-a-vis Iran since October 7th has indeed been reckless and gone far beyond what they did before. Israel, in December, assassinated a high-ranking Iranian general in Damascus, and then on April 1st, it attacked a building which was part of the embassy, Iranian embassy consulate in Damascus, killing several high-ranking Iranian military officials. Now, this is a very serious escalation of what Israel had done in the past, and it's really reckless. The Iranian embassy in Damascus is Iranian soil, and there's a strong notion in international law that you don't attack other people's embassies. Indeed, the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said in response to Israel's attack on the Iranian embassy in Damascus that it violates that it's a violation of the inviolability of diplomatic and consular premises. And they did that with F-35s, with U.S. F-35s, and according to Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin, without telling the Biden administration in ahead of time. Now, that's very, very reckless behavior. I think it reminds me of the kind of recklessness that the U.S. Responded, ways the recklessness of the way the U.S. responded after September 11th, the sense that the things that we had been doing before weren't good enough. We needed to take it up several notches, but without really thinking about what the consequences were. These are acts, this act of attacking the Iranian embassy in Damascus puts American forces at risk. We already saw in January that 3 U.S. soldiers were killed in Jordan because of Iraqi proxies of Iran that were responding to the Gaza attack. And then when you have U.S. planes bombing what is, under international legal terms, Iranian soil, this also puts the Americans at risk. The U.S. intelligence services have been saying, Avril Haines, the director of national intelligence, testified to Congress that, quote, "It is likely that the Gaza conflict will have a generational impact on terrorism." So already U.S. support, unconditional support for Israel in Gaza is increasing the risk of terrorism. And now we saw that Israel's attack on April 1st increases the risk of terrorism even further by making the U.S. complicit in an attack on what is Iranian soil. And this is in a context in which Iran has actually been acting in a pretty restrained way since October 7th. Remember, Hamas was reportedly hoping that Hezbollah, with Iranian support, would go into the war after its massacre on October 7th. Iran has not done that. The Washington Post reported on February that Iran had actually been cautioning its proxies against sparking a wider war. This is not because the Iranian regime is benign. It's a horrifying regime. I would love nothing more than to see it overthrown in a democratic revolution and to see those Iranian leaders who have brutalized their own people go on trial in front of The Hague. But because Iran is relatively weak compared to the United States and Israel, it doesn't want a direct conflict. And yet Israel's actions have brought us to the brink of that direct conflict. And it has happened because the U.S. has not been willing to tell Israel no, not been willing to condition American military support in a way that would prevent Israel from taking the reckless actions that it's been taking vis-a-vis Iran, just as we have not been willing to do vis-a-vis the reckless and just massively catastrophic actions that Israel's been taking in Gaza. Again, I support U.S. military aid to Israel that allows it to shoot down rockets that would kill Israelis with Iron Dome or the Arrow system, as happened just in the last 24 hours, but not unconditional U.S. support for reckless, offensive Israeli military actions that lead to the potential for regional war. What I hope is that the Biden administration is now learning its lesson, and just as it seems to have opened the door to conditioning U.S. military aid on Israel's reckless behavior in Gaza, that it will do the same vis-a-vis Israel's behavior vis-a-vis Iran.